Hello everyone. Before we start today's video, if you could all do me a solid and lightly tap the like button, perhaps share the video about and leave a comment. If you are not subscribed, subscribe as well. It would greatly help this channel. Thank you very much. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's log, subject 221001.4. It took one well-placed jab-like shot to drop that big-toothed fool. He now resides in an ISO cube and we are now leaving the region. What we're going to do now is pick up some refugees en route and use them as fuel. Okay folks, we're not mucking around this time. I've run out of time for the day so I can't edit properly, but this is a serious topic and I want to cover it anyway, so shut up. This has been my TED Talk. So today I want to talk about Sir Tom Moore, more commonly known as Captain Tom Moore, a 100-year-old, now deceased man, who during the time of Koofness raised over £30 million for the NHS by walking around his garden to help them. His way of saying thank you to the NHS for all that they had done for him in his very long life. It garnered so much attention that he was knighted for it. It garnered enough attention that others took up the mantle, took up this responsibility and joined in to raise more money for the NHS and other charities. The NHS at the best of times is under incredible strain. That 30 million will pay one person's salary for one day. Bureaucracy is quite expensive if you didn't know. Because of this, Captain Sir Tom Moore is very well respected. His actions speak louder than anyone else's words because what he did was something that stood out and showed incredible resolve. What he did really is a testament to the kind of man that he was, and certainly somebody that many could and would want to aspire to be like. I mention actions speaking louder than words for a reason. The reason why is because there are other people who have their own interpretation of this. And I have to use Tom Moore because it is relevant to the person that has gotten themselves into deep shit, pun intended. When actions speak louder than words, sometimes those actions come at a cost of being able to use words. Some actions require words as well. Take for example, Eco Warriors, or maybe even keyboard warriors, but not in the same sense. All kinds of warriors that aren't actually warriors at all. Many like to market themselves as using language as a way of getting their point across, but actually use rather incendiary tactics to really drive the point home. Or even simpler than that, employ tactics that have absolutely no place in civil society, a society that is slowly progressing towards a better future. There are always going to be casualties on the way and it is going to take time, but as is often the case with those that are, let's say, stupid, possibly younger as well, impulsive, reactive, and quite frankly volatile seem to fall hand in hand. Reasonable thought and open discussion and not being so absolutely monumentally stupid seem to be the fad. With this in mind, and with the idea of Sir Tom Moore as well, we now have to talk about an eco-warrior called Maddie Bud, a 21-year-old former medical student. I'm glad you're not actually a doctor or involved in medicine in any way, because after what you did, I wouldn't want you involved. Although I do have a number of questions about the device you used to do the disgusting thing that I have to now say trigger warning for, and maybe ask you perhaps consider increasing your fiber. Maddie Bud, a university dropout, staged a dirty protest against private jets. Now, what she did, no one would have noticed what she was wearing because everyone's eyes was firmly placed, fixed, obsessed with what she had in her hands and what she did to a monument to Tom Moore. The stunt took place in Hatton, South Derbyshire. It was so bad that even Maddie Bud's own father had to disavow this one. So what did Maddie Bud do? Maddie Bud picked up a device that looked like one of two things. Either something you attach to the bottom of a parasol to keep it in place by filling up the plastic container, or like something you hold waste in. And by waste, I don't mean bags of rubbish. I mean human waste. You know, the kind that gets broken down by chemicals in a plastic container and then you empty it into a sewage thingy or empty it somewhere where it is meant to be emptied later on when it is either near too full or you need to treat it anyway. What you see next, and yes, trigger warning for all of you involved, is Maddie Bud pouring, apparently, human poo over Captain Tom's memorial. Fam, it looks like liquid chocolate. Either you've been holding on to that for a while, or you are unironically trying to protest the environment while using a plastic in your hand. Does anyone see the hypocrisy? Plastics when it suits you, am I right? Would it not have been easier to simply dig a latrine next to Captain Tom and then just allowed your body to, well, essentially have the effect of what a laxative would have on you, cleanse your system, and then simply get a paintbrush?
Hi, my name is Maddie, I'm 21, and today I'm going to be pouring actual liquid human onto a Captain Tom memorial. People are going to say that he's a hero. People are going to say that this is profoundly, obscenely disrespectful to his life and the NHS that he stood up for, and I agree. I was studying to become a doctor because I believe in taking care of people. All of this is true, and the government won't even end UK private jets. Every time one takes off, it pours a bucket of shit and blood onto everything that Captain Tom stood for.
You, Maddie Bud, are a vile cretin. You want to raise awareness about private jets. A perfectly reasonable thing for some, I'm sure. But in doing so, no one's talking about private jets. Instead, people on private jets are laughing at you while buying another private jet. Why? Because the message isn't, let's stop private jets, it's, let's deface a monument to somebody who is regarded as a national hero and or treasure. That is what you've done. You delegitimize what you're trying to stand up for because your message is drowned out because you've just taken a shit on a person's monument. What kind of person does that and thinks that their message is going to be driven home? I hadn't noticed what was on your shirt, by the way, which is why I alluded to it earlier, because all I saw was a video of you pouring human waste over a monument. You got yourself the point, you got yourself the attention. Sadly, no one is talking about it because you're a barnstorming thunderbleed. I'm starting to understand why you're a university dropout. Clearly couldn't make the cut and you're salty about it. So what'd you do? Went to your little caravan, took a shit in it. Or the shit took you, who knows? And decided, I've got a wizard plan for this. Let me just go and get some more Pentalax to really drive the point home. Oh sorry, that's not eco-friendly. Prunes, malt loaf, coffee, fair trade of course, bran muffins, and licorice. Cause you're a classy bitch, and totally not a silly bitch. Now courtesy of your father, Jim Bud, we have discovered that Maddie Bud actually went rogue by dropping out of medical school to become a full-time Eco Warrior. Anyone got the Ultimate Warriors theme tune in their head, but performed with djembe drums? Her father, Jim Bud, is actually an award-winning glazier, and he admitted he felt sick when he saw the video. He also pointed out that he and his wife had messaged her earlier after they realized what she had done, but had received no reply, probably because she got arrested and will be appearing in front of a court. When speaking from his home, he said the shock of this is hurting people and upsetting them. I'm ashamed of her and what she has done. There has been a big public reaction for obvious reasons. I don't think she understands what the hell she was unleashing. She's done something horrible without thinking of the consequences. I felt sick with shock when I saw it. I have sent her a text message but she has not replied. It goes against all the things you install in your children. It is not normal behavior. I am extremely sad. The fact is she has sort of gone rogue. He further accepted that it was understandable for the police to investigate what he called an act of desecration, saying, I can't really apologize on her behalf. Sir Tom was clearly a national hero, and the country resonated with his fantastic and amazing actions. We are trying to sort out, but if the police get involved, then so be it. However shocking the future climate change predictions are, I don't think it was her duty to desecrate his memory in the way she has. Her motivations are very real but misplaced. The fact is she has gone rogue, so to speak. No doubt she'll be making a phone call to him in the near future though, asking that he bail her out. He also said that when people are young and vulnerable they can go down roads they would not do later in life. It is a horrible thing to have happened and people are obviously upset. It is very hard to understand how young people can feel so threatened by climate change that they can carry out such extreme actions. But I'm not making excuses for her. She has made a terrible mistake. We were horrified, and it's an ongoing worry. He also believes that perhaps instead of working on her own with these little solo acts, she should instead work with a legitimate climate change action group. And to be honest, there's a point there, because if you work with somebody with some legitimacy, there's a chance you might actually understand that you don't need to do something like this to really drive your point home. And that by doing something like this, your point is lost in the ether, an ether that is created by that stench. Now, the person who actually created the memorial and gifted it to Thistley Meadow had informed people via Twitter that they are working with the police to ensure that this is treated as vandalism and that Maddie is charged and, well, yes, all that for it. Perhaps given lessons on where to suitably dump her waste. I'm sure many of you have a very creative way of articulating what you think about this. Some will undoubtedly say, oh well, it's not important really. It is in my country, to an extent. It's important because I want people to be able to raise their points without having to use such extreme measures to get the point out there. Problem you have now is no one's associating the point with legitimacy, they're associating it with your actions. So do let me know in the comments what you all think about this. Thank you.